Greetings, I present to you the SMK, the Sentinel's Marvellous Kaleidoscope, on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph, Ontario, through the web on CFRU.ca, and syndicating across Canada. I am your guardian overseer, Nicholas Cooper. We will be looking inward and beyond along the branches of progressive, fusion, and alternative genres, a quaint anomaly, and other unique discoveries near and far. Join me as we gaze into the audible lens out at the diverse musical landscape on the ever-changing horizon.
Selves burn, our leaves turn, remind me of who I a songbird ever change its tune? Swell of white noise and red roses, laughs at your teeth, but you cannot speak. Ascend, descend, rewind. Have you ever heard the story of the blind mole under the stars? Neither have I. Selves
Welcome, my good sentries, to a brand new audience far from the observational tower. Today, we're doing a different setup because our guest had requested us doing a call through Skype, which I haven't had much experience with. And I think we got it working right now. In today's audience, we're joined by a lovely soul. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Clara Engel. Do we have to say more or just my name?
Oh, that's perfect, Clara. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Toronto,
Excellent.
the West End of Toronto.
Excellent. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. The lockdown's getting to me a little bit, I have to say.
Oh, I don't think
like
you have
many
to,
people.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me about all this, the prolonged anxiety of this unpredictable and confusing time right now.
Even though they're opening things up a bit, it almost feels worse. It just feels like a new layer of uncertainty.
Yeah, like
I don't know if you feel that.
Yeah, I feel that too. Like, I guess the safety of getting out there and then like continuing to do the social distancing while like trying to get on with our lives.
Yeah, it's a difficult dance.
I guess it would be a sidestep more.
Yeah, exactly, a sidestep. Yeah.
I guess speaking of, I guess you've already answered my usual questions that I've been asking artists, like how have you been coping with COVID? Or I guess, what have you been doing for the last few months with this pandemic going on?
Well, I was fortunate that I was able to finish like final mixing of an album with the engineer I work with right before everything shut down. So I released an album like that you actually played on. Right, when did I release it? In April. So promoting that was kind of occupying me for a while. And then I've been writing new material and making art. Just the usuals, just much more introverted because I can't do shows or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, one of the things that you had to do because of the pandemic was you had this big tour planned, am I correct? That was going into the US, but that you had to cancel it.
Fortunately, that was like right when everything sort of started blowing up. So the tour would have started on the 13th of March. And that was, I think everything locked down the following Monday. That was a Friday, 13th. So I'm really lucky that I didn't go on tour and get stuck somewhere. But I was excited for it because I was going to play in Chicago for the first time and make my way across the Midwest. So yeah, it was really disappointing, but at the same time, I feel like I kind of dodged a bullet.
Yeah, like that would have added so much like distress.
Oh my God. Yeah, that would have been incredibly stressful.
Yeah. But yeah, thankfully you're safe at home. What have you been doing, anything new or innovative during this time?
Well, actually, I started taking pictures of frogs the other day. I live near a ravine, so there's lots of wildlife. And I was taking my camera and going and taking portraits of these like beautiful little amphibians. And I actually also took a video of some of the pond life, everything floating around, and made a music video with it. It's kind of psychedelic, yeah.
Yeah, I did see a little bit of that video. I think you just posted it up on YouTube this morning as of this recording. What song was it for?
Oiseau Rebelle, track 2 off Hatching Under the Stars.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing the same thing with my music, getting some like natural and I guess more subtle videos of different things to use as like a backdrop to the music.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, we can't really work with other humans right now.
And what better video to do then with great nature and like wildlife.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of frogs were in the pond?
They're tiny frogs. I don't know much about frogs, but I really like them. They're like one of the smaller varieties, and I try to not scare them because they're very fearful. So I try to be very quiet and sneak up and take their picture. They also camouflage really well, so I have to keep a keen eye.
Yeah, what kind of a camera were you using or video for that?
Let me see what my camera's. It's a very little camera. It's not like a real fancy one. It's a Canon PowerShot.
Okay.
And then it has a bunch of letters, but I don't know. Are you a camera person?
Like last year, beginning of last year, I started getting into photography, more into the concert photography, and then I've slowly ventured into wildlife, but there's no concerts going on right now. I'm doing more of the wildlife and like city objects and stuff. And
you're near a lot of wildlife too, right?
Yeah. Well, I actually, some of the videos I've taken is from a forest near me.
Nice.
Yeah. And I like the pointing the camera straight up at like the forest foliage and getting the motion of the leaves and the sun.
Yeah. That's nice, like a canopy of green and light. Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, it was a few days ago, and it was very nice to be under there and very calming to actually be in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's something very comforting about being able to be somewhere surrounded by green right now. I find that.
Yeah, especially with being locked down and not being able to go out as much.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been actually a big issue for Toronto? Like, have you been able to get out often during this period?
You mean out to do anything fun, or out to do like grocery shopping?
I guess, well, you would have to do grocery shopping.
Yeah, that's pretty much like, yeah.
But like, go out for a walk maybe once a day or something?
Yeah, I'm really lucky because I don't live right downtown. I live like closer to, like I said, like a ravine and also High Park. So I'm able to like go for walks and maintain distance. But I feel much worse for people in high rises or condos right now who they can't really go anywhere. Because they're just, they can, I guess, walk on the sidewalk and socially distance, but it's kind of difficult. Yeah, so I don't have it as bad as a lot of people. Yeah.
Oh, actually, that just reminded me that I think we discussed this like another time, that you invited me to take me to High Park.
Yeah.
I've never been there before.
Oh yeah, we should definitely go. Once this is over, I'll give you a little High Park tour.
Yes, that's so exciting.
Yeah. You haven't been to High Park. That's cool. It's like it's pretty big.
And probably lots of nice scenery there.
Yeah, I like the nature trails. We can go off the beaten path, and one time I ran into a coyote actually when I was in High Park.
Oh, really?
I was trying to take a picture of a mourning dove, and I think it was trying to eat it. So, and we locked eyes. We actually looked right at each other for a second. It was a bit scary, but then the coyote moved on, and so did I.
Well, it's good. Like, I guess
I'm still alive.
Yeah, you're safe.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like if you don't agitate it or aggressively go towards it, it won't harm you.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess I worry about people feeding any of the animals there, because if they get too comfortable with humans, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why don't we now get to your music?
Yes.
Yes. I have been so infatuated and mesmerized by your music since I think the first album that I was introduced to you was A Shore Far from Any Prison, which was in late 2018.
Mm-hmm. Thank
well,
you.
What? Yeah. And then I've been following along the journey.
Yeah.
How would you describe your music?
I've come up with a bunch of different descriptions based on what other people have said. For me, it's like a process. I was thinking about it earlier today, and how for me, it's almost more like a form of incantation or prayer or something than like conventional songwriting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think because I'm also viewing my music as something conjuring and also organic.
Yeah. Someone called it wait, what did they call it? They called it minimalist holy blues from another galaxy. Someone said that years ago, and I thought that was a nice description, so I've been using it. But I actually I don't put myself in the role of describing what I do for the most part. I kind of leave it up to other people. How would you describe my music?
Well, I think one of the first terms I was calling it as is ambient because it's quite soothing music. But I know you told me that wasn't a good description of your music.
Well, I mean, there's an element, like I do really appreciate lots of different textures. And maybe that's what you're responding to, because I've worked with a lot of people who do ambient music. But then there's like the lyrics are so central that that it doesn't really fit with other music called ambient music.
Yeah, I guess ambient music is more instrumental.
Yeah, it doesn't have such a like lyrical focus. Yeah.
Some of the terms that I've been using that I've seen like on your Bandcamp page is folk noir, holy blues, which goes back to you were describing the like incantation or prayers. I guess, where does the holy blues come from? And are you religious in any way?
I'm not religious. But I feel like what I seek in music might be what some people seek in religion. Just some sort of like grounding process. Like the practice of making music is something that is just something that I need to do, basically. Like I don't even feel like it's a choice. In that sense, it feels almost like a practice rather than something that I chose to do.
So it's like central
to my
soul
my
and expression.
Yeah, like I just kind of started doing it when I think I was 13 when I started writing songs, and it was so kind of, it really didn't feel like something I chose to do. It felt like something that I had to do, and sort of like my path in life. That sounds a bit cheesy, but that's how I can't think of a better way to put it. And it just kind of continued from there. Yeah.
So I guess let's go into the background then. And when you were younger, how did you discover that part of you, of that music was part of your being?
I picked up, like, I was not a very good music student when I was a kid, but my dad had a bunch of guitars laying around, so I picked one up when I was like probably 11 or 12, and I just connected with it in a way that I hadn't with a musical instrument before. And then I listened to a lot of music, and it occurred to me suddenly that I could try making a song. And I had written poetry before that, so it was kind of bringing together these two different forms of expression. And then at first I like wrote poetry and I wrote songs, and then gradually the distance between them just collapsed, and I feel like my poetry became my songs. So yeah.
Yeah, speaking of your poetry and lyrics, you have to give me some lessons in lyric writing, because your words are so beautiful and so imaginative.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, like, I don't know where you like pick the words out of the ether and bring them all together into like it's I would say it's imaginative, but it's has a grounding feel to it.
Well, the songs are always about something, or they come from somewhere. Sometimes it's more abstract or surreal than others, I guess. But I do keep a lot of notebooks, and if you saw them, like I'm a really heavy editor and I'm a really messy writer, so they go through many drafts before they become what they are. So.
All right, so I have to invest in lots of notebooks.
Lots of notebooks. I do think that there's something to writing by hand. I'm kind of old-fashioned. As you see, we're using Skype instead of Zoom, so I just hang on to like old forms of expression and like old tools a lot. Yeah, I have tons of notebooks, and one thing I really missed during the pandemic is just going and sitting in like a library or a cafe and just working on some lyrics. I like to be around people, but not talking to them and just sort of absorbing the atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if the old tools still work,
why not? Yeah. Because we throw out so much stuff, right? And then, so it's good to keep on using things if we can.
Yeah, definitely. Or I guess, what are the types of themes and subjects that you do write about?
I feel like I write about things that I have trouble talking about sometimes. I mean, some people people often call my lyrics very dark, but I don't even really feel that way about them. I feel sometimes like it's a place where I try to grapple with more difficult questions of life and death and meaning. And I feel like when I was younger, maybe my lyrics had more to do with relationships, but now they're more, well, I don't know if that's even true. A little bit. I don't know, what themes do you find? I also think the natural world, but not in a kind of just a beautiful way, and kind of like in an all-encompassing way, how it can be kind of a terrifying place as well as a beautiful place also comes into my lyrics. Time, death, things that are hard to talk about, I think I write about. Does that make any sense? I feel like I rambled there. All right.
No, you're all good. Yes, that's well, singing and making music is a great remedy for like making sense of the world and
making sense of things that you can't even make sense of. And like, if I could just say it, if I could just put into words what I put into a song, then I don't know if I would make the song. Yeah. It's kind of like finding words for something beyond words.
Yeah, because there's also the added emotional content.
Yeah, like sort of breathing something else into the words with the voice.
So I guess as a recording artist, you've actually been around for quite a while, actually.
I have, yeah.
So when did you start, I guess this, or considering yourself as a artist, I guess?
I guess I knew I wanted to record my songs soon after I started writing them. It took a while for me to feel comfortable doing that and feel comfortable with my own voice. So the first recording that I have that's like on my Bandcamp, I think it's I think I did it in the early 2000s. I can't remember exactly which year. Jump of Flame. Yeah, that was like recorded in a studio. And so I guess around that time, but I would have called myself a recording artist. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it is. Have you been like performing live even before then?
Yeah, that's why I had trouble thinking about it. I started performing in high school, like even in school. Like they would be heavily optioned, like you can write a short story or I don't know, design a product or write a song. And every time they had that option, I would write a song. And I think they were always surprised by it because most people don't pick that option. But I like performed in my like grade 10 English class. Might have been my first performance.
That was
It's so embarrassing.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, I mean, now I would find it quite embarrassing. I think it took a lot of guts to do that at the time. Now that I think back on it.
Well, I'm glad that you did that. I think it added like earlier on to get the like stage audience reaction to get you experienced.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. I think the first time that I was ever booed was in high school too. So I didn't notice because I was too in the zone. Someone told me afterwards, but to have those rejection experiences early on too I feel like it makes me maybe a little bit more resilient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big strength.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think I'm sensitive, but I bounce back because the drive to keep making work is stronger than feeling bad about what people's reaction might be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why don't we go, or actually keeping on with the live concerts, we connecting now to Guelph. I was able to bring you last year around this time, I believe.
Wasn't it on the summer solstice?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
on the Golden Bus.
That was so much fun. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, how did you feel about performing in a bus?
I had a great time. I love performing in unusual settings. If there's like a good enough sound system, which there was. So, because I find the most frustrating thing is just if the sound is really bad, because then it's just hard to get into it and to feel like I can hear myself. But I have to say it had a really good sound system for a bus.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was pretty nice. And it just had a really neat atmosphere. So I had a great time.
Yeah, that was my first time being in the Golden Bus, and especially in having it in the evening next to the river.
Mm-hmm.
Added a lot of atmospheric magic to your song.
I remember some like nature sounds coming in through the door and stuff. It was really nice.
Yeah. Or because you mentioned unusual settings, have you played in any other kind of strange venues or environments? I have. I'm just trying to think of what they've been. I've played a lot of sort of weird house shows at, like, there was one in the States somewhere, I think it was Philadelphia, where the people were very goth, and there was like, I feel like there was like a coffee table that was a coffin. Oh, really?
And I think there were some strange mannequins, but I could be misremembering. It was really odd. It was fun. But there were also cats there, and I'm very allergic to cats, so I had to kind of rush through my set a bit while I could still sing. Mm-hmm. And I sang on a rooftop once, but that was in New York. There's actually some video from that. That's a really long time ago now. That's great. Yeah, it was cool. I couldn't hear myself at all, though, so I was trying to hold it together, but I felt very frustrated because it felt like my voice was kind of blowing away into the noisy night. But then when I heard the video, I was like, oh, it sounds a lot better than I thought it did. So it's kind of a lesson. Like, you never know how things are from the outside. Yeah. You might feel bad from the inside, but you just don't know. Were you playing to like an audience on the ground while you were on the rooftop? No, that would have been impossible, I think, because I didn't have a PA or anything. I was just singing with an acoustic guitar. Oh, it was just like a video you were taking of yourself? No, it was a show. Oh, like other people on the... other people were... It was like a house show, but it was in an apartment, so we went up on the roof for the show part of it. Oh, okay, I understand now. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm sure there have been other weird things that I can't think of. Speaking of house shows, do you think that will be a prominent thing going on when we start to loosen more of the COVID pandemic restrictions? It's a good question. I guess house shows people were saying that everyone should do house shows before all of this hit, right? It was becoming kind of a big thing. I've always had a lot of trouble doing house shows because like I said, I'm super allergic to cats. and it seems like everybody has a cat. So it became this weird thing where I'd have to always screen like houses for cats. But I'm wondering if people won't feel comfortable in such small spaces that are less, like in a bar or something, they can have a cleaning policy. And like everyone can kind of check up on what that is. But with the house, there's much less control. So I wonder if people will feel uncomfortable doing that, like people who are nervous about COVID-19. What do you think?
Or it would probably have to be more like background or backyard.
Yes, a lot of
or front
outdoor
yard shows where the artists or bands would be like in front of the house or at one end of the backyard, and then the attendees would have to space out onto the sidewalk.
I can see that working. That would work in the warm weather, but then winter would be a challenge.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Everyone's wearing a parka.
Or everyone like having like a little heaters or something.
Yeah, a big fire, like a bonfire.
Oh, that would be really cool. Well, even for the summer.
I don't know if it's legal though. Yeah, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
There's always that.
Yeah, then there's also the issue of like bylaws with the noise as well.
I know. I think all in all, it's just a really challenging time for musicians. Like, I don't think anyone knows what's next. And that's very anxiety producing. Yeah.
Have you been struggling in that way, like financially, not being able to do live concerts?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, with my tours, it's not like I make a lot of money, but what I do is I meet people and I make connections like for future shows and like potential patrons and stuff like that. Like that's always been the thing for me, like sort of just building relationships and playing in new places. So a missed opportunity. So it counts financially, even if it might not seem like that in the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like planting seeds for the future. So to not be able to do that is like, it's very depressing. And it's very, I don't know, because even in the best of times, I'd sort of space out my shows in Toronto because it's not good for me to just play in Toronto. I've learned that over the years. So touring is like a big thing. I hope that I can do it again. I think I will eventually. It's just a matter of being patient. Yeah.
Yeah, I can certainly hear that. Yeah, especially, like, because like the internet is a good way to connect, but it's not nearly as effective when you actually meet people in physical form.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do the face-to-face contact.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm kind of an introverted person for the most part, and the longer I go without doing that kind of thing, the more, even though I've been doing it for so long, the scarier it becomes if I don't do it. So I stay wanting to do it by doing it, if that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense because you
feel that too?
Yeah, I'm kind of an introvert as well. I want to say I'm an ambivert because the last few years I've been trying to get out more and express myself more and just like tackle the discomfort to actually talk with new people. And during this time it kind of feels it's being reversed.
I know. I think you're definitely not alone. I think that's like a lot of people are dealing with that now because it's kind of like almost like a muscle that you have to exercise if you're more of an introvert. Like I guess I'm an ambivert because I like performing and I also like people. It's just that I work alone and I do a lot of stuff. Like all my songwriting and stuff is something I do in a solitary way. But like the more I perform, the easier it becomes. Like when I'm on tour, I don't even get nervous before the shows. But if I play like one show every few months in Toronto, I get really anxious right before. So I've learned that the more you do, the easier it is.
Oh yeah, that's a great words to go by.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, sometimes for example, I'm trying to practice more of my bass clarinet, and at the beginning of the pandemic, I had a big burst of creativity and of new works to work on.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks, I had no energy to do anything. And right now I'm only just starting to pick it up again.
Yeah. I do also find stuff like that comes in waves. Like if you make anything, it's not like you're constantly making stuff. Like I make stuff a lot, but there's definitely days and weeks that are more like down periods and then more active periods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ebb and flow of the energy.
Yeah, and if you think it's like a garden, it's like seeds get blown around and they're taking root, but you can't even see anything, and then suddenly you start seeing them and they start growing. So, yeah.
Any creature who loves dilating eyes creature who loves dilating eye, opening mouth, any creature who loves flutter of wings, quiver of gale.
So why not with that, we talk about your newest album.
Okay.
Yeah, Hatching Under the Stars.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. How did the title come to mind?
The title comes from one of the lyrics on the album. The line is "Baby alligators hatching under the stars," and I liked how the phrase "hatching under the stars" went with the cover art that I made. I just thought, I don't know, it just worked for me.
Yeah, I actually do have the CD, a version that you sent out to me.
Good. Glad it arrived. Yeah.
And by the way, you are a very great visual artist as well.
Oh, thank you. I like making art.
Why don't you describe us what the album cover is?
Well, I think it's some kind of a haunted kiwi bird with a moon and with a forest on its back and a crescent moon above the forest, and then a border of brambles at the very perimeter. It actually didn't start out as a bird. It was like an abstract piece that I forgot about and then picked up, and then I just turned it into a bird sort of spontaneously. So it was made with 2 different types of ink. But I did it as part of Inktober, that challenge that happens every year in October, where you have to do a drawing a day. So that was one of my Inktober pieces.
Yeah, I've been seeing some other artists do the same thing. Is it really challenging to do a new thing every day, new drawing?
Yeah, it can be. Some years I think for 3 years I've attempted it, and this year I did it. The year before I was about to go on tour, so I kind of let it slide. And the year before I got really into it. Sometimes it's really nice to have something like that, something concrete where you just have to produce like a thing every day. And I like sharing things that I make with people. It's a pleasure. So when the timing is right, I really enjoy it.
So part of the album cover is the kiwi bird silhouette. And I think you told me that the album is kind of based on or has lots of imagery of animals. Do you want to talk about that?
That's just a thing that kind of organically happened. I noticed it after that animals have been creeping into my work more and more. And I think we associate songs about animals sometimes as being kind of like children's songs or kind of
fairy tales.
Yeah, well, I guess what I mean is that they're not what you would expect songs about animals to be. Maybe, do you know what I mean? Because I remember like lots of songs for kids are about animals, and I'm not much into kids music. So, but there was more of a darkness, or I don't know. I think the world of nature can be kind of mysterious and scary, and I think that kind of is part of the mood of the album.
Mhm.
But yeah, fairy tales. I do like the kind of scary old fairy tales. That kind of
Oh,
atmosphere.
you like Brothers Grimm?
Yeah, and Hans Christian Andersen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How long, or because from the last few years I've known of you, you like release like pretty much an album a year. How did these songs form in like retrospect to your usual output?
Wait, what do you mean? Like,
So
how did
like because you release so many songs, like how did you choose these specific
which songs to include?
or
Yeah.
how do they come together?
Sure. It was kind of well, I was recording with my friend Paul, who plays the drums on the record. And we had 2 afternoons, and we had to just record like live off the floor. So I guess I just gather together what I have and I pick my favorites. Like there's not really and actually 2 of the songs, Preserved in Ice and The Indifference of Fire, I had literally just finished them. So I didn't even plan to put them on the album. I was like, we still have some time. Why don't we try to do these? And now I'm so happy we did because they fit really well with the album. But there's an element of kind of spontaneity and randomness to my recording process. And I think that's always been true. I like to leave things a little bit open-ended and also leave room for like happy accidents, I guess.
All right, so there was no grand plan.
No, I mean, it turned out seeming almost like a concept album, but it was an accident. It was kind of a concept because we had this limited time, and I have these songs I had written in a certain span of time, and I think that the concept kind of created itself because maybe I was preoccupied with certain things during that time, and they're seeping into my songs.
Or that's a great way of working with music, because like for me, because I'm just starting off as like a real solo musician, it can be very depleting of energy to try and plan like what you want to do with certain releases or music that it's best to just leave it the chance.
I think I agree with that. Like, and that's definitely how I work and also I've encountered people who like record an album and then they still haven't released it like 3 years later because they're looking for like the perfect label or the perfect circumstance. And I just don't think that they exist. Like, I'd rather just be making stuff and putting it out there and sort of building something for myself and letting things happen in a way. Like, you can't control a lot of external circumstances, but you can sort of work at your thing and do your best. And that's my motto, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great motto.
I don't know. I just made it up that it's my motto right now, but I guess it kind of is.
It's your first life path goal or something.
Yeah, I guess so.
So do you mind talking a bit about a few of the songs on the album?
Sure. Like, do you have any songs that you're curious about? I don't know.
Or
like, which songs would you like to hear about?
Or I guess sorry, I'm kind of jumping a bit. Before that, before we go into each of the songs, a main part of the album is you've brought in lots of guest musicians into the fold with like specific songs, or some of them appear in a few of them.
Yeah.
This goes, I guess, back to what you said about being able to connect with different people. And this is, I guess that was how you were able to call upon these musicians and ask for their help. Am I correct in that?
Oh, sorry. How was I able to? No, I wasn't sure what the question was. Does it mean like, how was I able to contact them, or how did I meet them, or what do you mean?
Here, let me try and reword that.
No, sorry, yeah.
So the main thing for this album, Hatching Under the Stars, has been you've called upon lots of guest artists to come into the fold for a couple of these songs, or well, for all of them. For this album in particular, why did you do that?
Oh, okay. Well, I like working with. I like I write all my songs on my own, and the recordings were guitar, voice, drums, and then I also play a bunch of other instruments a bit, so I can do some overdubs. But most of the people on the record I've met online, and I really like their music. So I just emailed them and I asked, like, would you be interested in playing such and such on this song? And it just worked out really well. Like, I have some people who I've worked with before who played on this, and some people who it's the first time that they've played on something of mine. That's one of the things I really like about the internet, that you can actually do a collaboration in that way.
So this is an example where, the internet, it's a good way to collaborate, and
yeah, it can be a really great thing. Like, and I've been doing stuff like that for quite a long time now. Like, if you go back in my catalog, I think there's like at least 10 years, there's been people who I've never actually met in person who have played on, like, back in the days of MySpace. Like, we would meet each other and like each other's music, and I would ask if they could, like, guest on a song. And I mean, it doesn't always work out, but I think it's worked out really well a whole bunch of times.
Did these artists were really excited to contribute to your music?
I hope so. I mean, I think that they were happy to, or they wouldn't have done it. But yeah, I think, and I've guested on a few people's recordings as well. I don't have a good home recording setup at this point in time, so it's not as easy for me. I'd like it to be easier for me to just record at home and have it sound good. But like, I know I really like it when it's like someone whose work I can kind of find my way into. If they ask me, I'm happy to collaborate in that way. So I don't know, it's kind of exciting. It's just kind of like magic. Like, people couldn't have done this in a different era. So it is one of the cool things of our time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
How far in global locations do these our guest artists come from?
You're testing my geography. Let me think. On this particular album, there's someone from Sweden who plays on it. And there's someone from London, like the UK.
Mm-hmm.
People from the States. Those are the kind of main. I may be forgetting someone, but those are the distances that I can think of now.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's still quite expansive.
It is,
right?
Yeah. And I've never even flown on a plane before, so it's like my music has traveled so much more than I have.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I haven't been on a plane myself. Well,
cheers!
Flying,
You're the first other person that I've met who hasn't. You haven't been on a plane either.
So when I was younger, one of my uncles was a pilot, and I was on a plane that wasn't flying, just on the ground.
Oh, okay. I guess that doesn't count because you weren't in the air.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't count.
Cool.
I hope to travel though.
Flown. Yeah, I mean, I've traveled by train. I'm a land animal. I have a song that's called that. I started it as a joke because I actually have never flown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, okay, let us go into the songs. I guess the most recent song I did feature, actually this past week, it was my Pride 2020 special.
Nice.
Was Baby Alligators, which is where the title of the album comes from.
Yes. It's my pop song.
I think that's why I kind of chose that one for the Pride.
Yeah, a bit more festive sound.
Yeah, because also it's the toy piano that was played on it as well was quite unique to the...
yeah, That's my friend Sylvia. She's in Philly, I think. Yeah. No, not Philly. I keep getting mixed up. Yes, I think she is in Philly now. She's in the States for sure. She plays like tons of different instruments, and she added that. That was a surprise.
Oh, to you?
Yeah. She was like, I can do some stuff on this song. And then she just sent me back all these like very interesting tracks. And I used, I think, almost most of them. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So what was this song about, Baby Alligator?
What
was the inspiration?
The inspiration. I'm trying to boil it down, but I don't know if I can. It was a kind of one of my songs that some of my songs start out kind of as just a joke. Like I don't think they're going to turn into an actual song, and this was one of them. And if you look at the different verses, they're almost all sort of like snapshots of different scenes. Like there's one in a laundromat. It's kind of like contrasting the mundane and depressing aspects of life with these amazing things that are happening, like, well, baby alligators hatching under the stars. I don't know. I feel sometimes like with my songs, I'm almost creating these tableaus or like short film type things, and people are able to take from them what they want. And I'm building them kind of more like a painter than like somebody who has like a specific point that I'm trying to get across.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah. Like what do you take away from that song? I'm curious. If you have an interpretation, you don't have to.
I think putting me on the spot.
Down.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Well, I did like I like the lyric after like Hatching Under the Stars, which was, I think, all the love songs never written.
Yeah, sung by skeletons. It's also sort of about, well, I don't even like, the truth is that I don't like saying what my songs are about, because sometimes after I say it, I think I'm wrong.
Oh.
Because a lot more goes into them than like what I'm able to put into a description of when someone asks me what they're about. Like, because I'll go through so many drafts, and it's almost like this intuitive thread is guiding me through the song that I have to follow. But I don't even always know what they're about, sometimes until a long time after I've written them, which is an odd feeling.
And that also goes back to how you say the songs are the way you express some of the difficult topics.
Yeah, that you can't even put into words, or things that are difficult, but also things that are difficult to articulate. I mean, even putting our thoughts and feelings into words in speech is difficult, I think. But then there's all these things that we can't find words for, or there's no like space in our lives where we can talk about them. So music is a wonderful realm for that. Yeah.
Or I guess we should talk about the piece that I'm featured on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you reached out to me to play on Any Creature.
Yes. I love what you did on it, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Sounds great. And people have commented on it. People have commented on the bass clarinet.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What have they been saying?
They say they like it. Or it's like I forget the exact words of a reviewer, but basically like that they really like the touch of bass clarinet in Any Creature. And that it kind of like, since it doesn't come in for a while and then suddenly it's there, it's like it really shines. Like I'm a very less is more person when it comes to mixing my stuff.
Okay.
Like so I didn't use everything, but I feel like what I used really really stands out in the song.
All right. Because I did play a lot.
Well, that's good. I had a lot to pick from, right? So.
All right. Yeah, sometimes like I'm do more of the improvising part of music, and I just let the music guide me, and I do see how that just taking that small the segment like that you did really did add an impact
Yeah,
to the
exactly.
song.
Yeah. And I think I like music where people are improvising and it's much more like maximalist than my music. Like I like listening to a lot of different music, but for the particular thing that I do, I find like just one line will contribute so much to a song as a whole. So it depends on the context.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think I can give like a thoughts for this song because it really connected with me.
Good. Yeah, I picked it because I thought that something about it made me think that it would resonate with you.
Yeah, so I guess the main lyric is any creature who loves, and I guess it goes on to talk about like the feelings and reactions, I guess, to love and both the good feelings from it and also complexity and worry.
Yeah.
And the way to express that. And I'm certainly trying to figure out that, like what love is for me.
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of interpreted my improvisation of trying to find that feeling and understand it.
Right. I like that. Like I like that it can also be seen as kind of some sort of a love song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because there's so many types of love songs, but I feel like it's kind of a weird one because it's, again, the animals are back. Like it's sort of, there's wings and gills and etc. Yeah.
Yeah, that actually, it's like, I guess we're thinking about if and how like animals love that we haven't been able to really understand, or if it even exists.
Yeah, I believe it exists, but because I feel like in some ways we're not so different. Like we are very, very different in some ways, but in so many ways, we are just other creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about one more song? Well, I'll say that all the songs are like brilliant, and I think I did tell you that it was your best collection of works like that I've heard.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's my favorite. I always like the thing that I did the most recently the best because I feel like I'm still developing.
Mm-hmm. Well, why don't I ask you what is your? Well, you have to choose. What is your favorite?
I have to choose
song? Yes.
I don't know if I have a favorite of my own songs. I guess I could pick ones that are my favorites to play.
All right.
I really like Old Feathered Devil. Or I like playing it.
Oh yeah, I remember like you also invited me to perform with you in Toronto in like last year.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, and that was your last song, I believe, that you played for us.
Yeah, and I got a bunch of people to sing along at the end.
Yeah, is that one of the reasons why you like playing it, to involve the audience?
Yeah, some people hate when I do that when I have choirs because I think it's like breaking a certain wall or something. But I've always found that it goes back to sort of a very basic pleasure of playing music and singing with people. Like when it works out, like sometimes no one will sing along or sometimes it just doesn't sound right. But when it works, it's very there's just especially when they're singing lyrics like "Old Feathered Devil, eat out my heart. I'll pick a ripe new one before it gets dark." Like, yeah,
I guess it's a very unusual thing to say.
It is, yeah. Yeah. I feel like I misquoted myself. Hang on. That would be
Oh.
funny. I just want to make sure that I said the right lyric.
No, I think that's the right.
Yeah, I did. I said that's weird. It's just I guess I haven't played that song in a while.
Mhm.
If you want, you can cut that out, or you can leave it in. Keep it real.
I think we're being really real.
Really real.
Right now. That's a quite interesting song, Old Feathered Devil.
Yeah. I think I honestly, though, if I'm speaking totally honestly, I don't really have a favorite song. Like I'm always, my favorite songs are always the ones that I'm still working on. And once I've done an album, it's not like I'm not proud of it, but I've already, as soon as it's released, it's like I've moved on. I have to force myself to keep on promoting the thing that I just did and not just work on new stuff, because I feel I'm very much more in love with the process of making stuff than having made stuff already, or having. I don't know. I think it can be bad in a way. Like some people, their whole career is like playing their hits. I'll never be a pop musician for that reason, and other reasons too.
Is that like one of the reasons why you like to continue forward, to not like remain comfortable with what you have?
Yeah, I think so. And I think also I keep sort of getting interested in different aspects of music, and like my music has definitely changed, like not in really really dramatic ways over the years, but significantly to me when I listen back. Like even the way I sing has changed, and I think it's just like life. Like I want it to be a living aspect of who I am through my life, instead of like sort of making hits that I try to recreate, because they were real at the time. Like old songs that I did, that was really who I was and what I was interested in creating, but it's not anymore. Like now I want to be doing what I'm doing now. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good time to wrap up this interview. Where can people keep up with you and your music?
Bandcamp is a good place, and I have a Patreon. I have a music Facebook page, and I have a Twitter. I'm everywhere.
Oh, nice. Lots of options.
Yeah.
You've been giving us great words this interview, but if you had to choose, what would your utmost words of wisdom be to us?
I'm not wise. I don't have any words of wisdom, I don't think. I don't know.
Oh, come on. You're very wise.
I'm very, I don't know. I think maybe I'm wise enough to know that I'm not that wise. Those are my words of wisdom.
Oh, all right, Clara.
There we go.
Well, thank you for doing this interview with me.
Thank you for having me.
And we hope to see each other in person
one day. Go to Hyde
one
Park.
day.
Yeah.